Hey everybody, we're back. After a long-awaited hiatus for no apparent reason, we're back with the show. And our first sponsor on our show back is Budweiser Prohibition. If you hadn't had it, it tastes like not Budweiser. And it's the beer for pregnant ladies with class. Not those classes, Fox. Let's start the show. Some good music.
Said that for the first time.
Didn't go on a whole spiel when it wasn't recording.
No need to.
Just like rest on a bike. It clears off once you ride it. Yeah, I hadn't heard that song since last time we did an episode, which was, as you were saying, on mute about a year.
Year and a half?
Yeah. And I quickly realized that I didn't notate any of that music. So I have no idea how I was supposed to play it because I still have to do an outro and a break songs.
Yeah.
But I did find the After Effects, or not the After Effects, the GarageBand file. So that might help, but who knows? I'll have to relearn the quote unquote digital drums again.
Because when we do a live show, you're gonna have to play it. Get them boobies out.
I'll play like a real DJ and hit the play button, and then tweak some knobs and.
Let me get my USB stick before I can DJ.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back after a long ass time to your new least favorite show about an exclusively visual medium cleverly brought to you in an audio format. My name is Matt Salick and Marcus's name.
Oh, that's the end of your intro.
Yep.
Okay. I thought there was more to I'm Matt Salick and
nope, that's it. I'm just me.
My name is Marcus Farrell, and I also like to party.
Oh, yeah. My name is Rod.
No, you don't like to party.
No, Rod. Rod parties.
Right.
He's the only one that parties. Just me and Rod.
So we're back for the 50 people who listen.
No, there was when I put up that we were going to be making more episodes. We had like 200 and something listens. So I guess over 10 episodes, that could be 20 people. All right.
But
that is more impressive in my head.
But devoted people.
And devout, God willing.
I mean, our end game is to be on a yacht from this podcast. So
yep.
We're
record on a yacht once.
Baby steps.
Be promptly asked to leave.
Yes. So
yeah.
So first episode back in a long time, and today we're gonna go over some new format things we're trying, some timing, some ideas. I don't know. A bunch of stuff. Talk about what's been going on, mostly from you because nothing's been really happening with me.
Yeah. It seemed really trendy in podcasts to come out with seasons. So this is season 2. They tell you to take seasons. They don't tell you how long to wait between them. I thought it was like 18 months I thought they're like Scorsese movies, like every 11 years we'll get a new one.
Yeah, usually you got to wait for the online petitions.
But
I started a couple, but they didn't pick up.
Nope, because
we want the show back.
But yeah, so we're back for what we're going to call season 2. Hopefully it just continues on until we take another break, although much shorter than the last one. Yeah, so to start things off, I know that not for me, but Marcus had something he wanted to say in defense of Harvey Weinstein, so go ahead.
Nope.
Okay. Guess that's an off-mic conversation again. I get it. He's only human.
Listen, everybody's got inner beauty.
Yeah, even Harvey Weinstein.
Even bridge trolls.
But yeah, a lot has changed for me professionally. Changing companies a few times, getting rid of my old company. By getting rid of my old company, we also cleverly lost our recording space.
Yeah, we kind of doubled down on.
Yep.
Well, you doubled down, not me.
No, I.
This isn't a we situation.
No, it was a double downing on a goodbye for me. And then, yeah, so since then I worked for a few people, one company for about a year. Didn't really work out. Now I'm with a new company and we're in their big ass office. We're staring at like a 50-inch TV? It's probably the smallest TV in the office.
I don't know.
But anyway, we got an accidental upgrade by me getting a new job. And this place is sweet.
It's swank.
Swank.
There's an endless supply of unhealthy snacks and then sparkling water.
And there's a pool table.
There's a pool table that's not been used by anyone ever.
No.
The felt still has the plastic you have to pull off.
Still has that new pool table
We're
smell.
going to do an unboxing video of the pool table.
You just have to find a really big
It's
box.
huge.
So, yeah, we're back with more podcasting. We're going to be playing around with a bunch of different ideas. If you could see the Dropbox paper documents that we've created, you would lose your goddamn mind. But what we found in the old podcast was let's call it season 1.
Yeah, we're the pilot season.
Yeah. So it's like that first season of Parks and Recreation where once in a while it was okay, but for the most part, that one guy that had like the Brendan Fraser hair was
Dan Brandanowitz.
Yeah. Yep. So
conveniently why he didn't end up in the rest of the seasons.
Yeah. So it's like we had him standing in the corner Blair Witch style just staring at us. And so yeah, anyway, turns out after a year and a half, you can focus up.
Yeah, you come back to stuff. You reflect, you grow, you get older.
Yeah, we got drunk in a hotel once. And we talked about the podcast in February.
Yeah.
And don't remember a ton of that. And then we talked about it this week, too. And here we are.
Yeah. So before we jump into that, I do want to talk about Budweiser Prohibition, which is today's accidental sponsor.
Marcus is pregnant.
I am pregnant with a burrito. I'm expecting it tomorrow. But in terms of non-alcoholic beers, hold on. So sometimes they're good to have when, one, you don't want to get tired because you're old. And that's what happens. And two, means you can still drive.
Yeah. And so we should also mention where we live. They legalized pot in Canada last summer, like July or was it October, whenever the hell it was. And they super went gnarly with driving restrictions. So we drink Prohibition now while we're motoring.
Zero tolerance is the name of the game.
Yeah. That is also Marcus' stance on immigration.
This is a running theme that I'm not too happy about.
It's only when I yell, build that wall, when we go drink beer in the Mexican restaurant.
Wall of tacos. High five. I'd like to show the record that Matt actually gave you a high five on that one.
Yep. I like touching people.
Funny story about this is a bunch of us were over in Vancouver last year for that shitty Skookum Fest. And one of our female friends was pregnant, as opposed to our male friends who get pregnant. And she was drinking.
That guy loves abortions.
That's a record for this stupid show. Anyways. Well, there goes down to 12 people who like this. Yay. So she was drinking a bottle of this, walking through Stanley Park, and clearly pregnant. And there was a very eager and ambitious security guard from across yonder who spotted somebody, looked like they were drinking a beer, and he walked over. One looked like he had a shit on deck.
Is it walked or waddled?
He trucked. He trucked it. It wasn't a waddle. It wasn't like... It was like a diarrhea run. Like, I'm going to get there in a hurry, but I'm going to walk so nobody knows. And as he got up there, he was ready to announce his authority. And she said it was Prohibition, and he got really upset and just turned around and walked away. So it's great for messing with security and folks alike.
And that has a baby been born?
Uh-huh, it has.
And that baby could technically drink one of these beer.
Absolutely.
And that pre-cop can't do shit about it.
And that is how you upset more people.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that baby's drinking a beer.
So cool.
I guess I shouldn't judge how it lives its life. There's a long way to go to make mistakes.
And we're careful to say it.
Yeah.
We're going to let it decide what it's going to be.
Goblin, human.
Weinstein. So
this episode is very unstructured.
Yeah,
it's shorter.
We're letting you know we're coming back, or we're back.
It's like Harvey Weinstein's penis, unstructured and short.
And spraying into a fern.
Oh, well.
Bye.
I broke another microphone by spraying on it with my laugh juices.
Get it away from the fern.
He should have him on between two ferns.
Just by himself. A standing jack.
So if anybody knows Zach Galifianakis, definitely give him that idea.
Or Harvey Weinstein.
So anyways, this show is short as unstructured because what we're going to go over is kind of the thoughts and ideas for upcoming episodes, things that we've learned, things that we didn't learn. Yeah.
We learned that we can, without much effort or thought, make 3-hour episodes, which we don't intend on doing possibly ever again.
No, because two things, well, I mean, this is the old space, but two things happen is I have to pee every fucking 20 minutes, and then then I get too drunk and I can't participate.
Yep.
And so I just sit there and be like, I'm a guest, or I'm an audience member.
Yeah.
Audience of one.
Well, this one's for you.
It's like a Paul Shore moment.
Oh, where he only enjoys it?
Where he just like laughs. Ha ha, good one, Dave. Season 2 is going to be filled with lots of bad impersonations too.
No, I thought that one was good. But yeah, so with the season, we want to involve the people listening more too. So from time to time, we're going to be asking you, not really for ideas, but for like contributions. Like, do you have a fucked up story about something that happened to you? Do you have an example of something? I mean, we're going to be talking about like design award shows. We're going to be doing unsolicited portfolio critiques to be real dickheads. Doing things like just discussing, things that relate to graphic design. Like, there's that show Abstract on Netflix. There's a new one about the creative brain. We'll talk about that, play some shit from that show. Looking at, specific things like, I mentioned earlier that pot is now legal everywhere in Canada. And what that has done is borne out this big, ugly branding machine where everybody's trying to get there first, but it's all kind of looking not so good. So we'll get into stuff like that.
Should we talk about guests and the change to that as well?
Yeah.
So guests are great, but they're hard where we live.
Rock hard.
Weinstein hard.
Well, he never said he was hard. That's just you.
It's like yeah. So, and if you've ever listened to a podcast where they do an interview over Skype or Hangouts, there's a latency in humor. There's a latency in everything, and it just doesn't. It loses its appeal. It's not fun. It's not fun to listen to. It's not fun to partake in. So kind of the thought we were having was doing something, trying to be more 2019 and being more accessible to the general public, and thinking, somebody who doesn't work in the design industry, would they still want to listen to these two idiots talk about something? And I mean, on interesting topics. With every podcast, you might not like every episode, but, getting into some granular, really specific topics, something that's just holds your focus for however long we do this.
And plus holds our focus for as long.
And since we've got an upgrade to a bigger TV or a TV, there'll be more visual pieces that we'll put on the site at some point, or on Instagram or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah,
I think when we're discussing stuff, if it's, visual design, or if we're talking about like a website or talking about whatever, we're going to be looking at it, talking about it, so we can have a more natural conversation about it. But we're also going to post like screenshots and just all kinds of shit too, so you can go onto the page, which I think is down, which I'll have to put back up,
Hmm.
at designersoftheworst.com. And we'll just have like a companion thing. So if you're listening at your desk, cool, just go check out the website while you're listening. If you're listening on like a smartphone or wherever else in your car, that kind of thing, just go check out the site after and you can get an idea of what we are talking about. But yeah,
We don't want to get rid of the guests completely,
no.
but at least dial it back a bit and have them on for specific purposes, and also see, people are listening and they don't want to hear them and they only want to hear topics, then we want to hear that too.
Yeah, and there are certain things that we want to talk about where locally there are some like gnarly guests we could get. Like we want to do an episode on tattooing and about like, it's such like a beautiful microcosm of like graphic design as an industry, where somebody walks in, they pick out the design they want, you put it on them, they hand you a stack of cash, you claim half of it to the government, and then it's done. But it's really the same kind of interaction of like difficult clients, there's just days you're not into it. It's
also seeing your work out in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not like, we do primarily digital stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And at a moment's notice, a company can be like, we want to change what we look like. Okay, fine. But and then you see your work later, whatever. But a tattooist could see a bad tattoo 20 years later and be like, fuck, I did a bad job. That was my first one. I wish they'd do something about it. But you just try to avoid that person.
Yeah, and the inverse is also true, where if we create a brand and we spend like 3 months researching competition analysis, user surveys, just huge process. At the end of all that work, we create a brand, but it could be a year until we see that like in the world. So it's also kind of cool where like a tattoo artist can put something on you and you leave, and it walks out the door. Like that is the first and the final phase of the tattoo. It's just on display. It's done.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that and just like in my head, that is the perfect job. But because I've never done it, I can guarantee it's not. But it'd be cool to hear stories about shitty client interactions and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm talking about like specific people like that. And yeah, just kind of like broadening things out a bit. Like, design's cool and all. It affects like everything, like anything that has a picture or a word or a shape to it has been created by a person, but it's also used by everybody. It's not just graphic designers that use graphic design shit. So it'd be cool just to broaden it, make it, like Mark was saying, more topics that lots of people could get into, but also stuff for designers, because there's not a ton out there for them. And one of the ideas that I have, which I've never been interested in making friends, is listening to other design podcasts and giving our honest opinion of them, because they could easily do that about us. And when you go to somewhere like Dribble and everyone's like, oh, you might want to round that corner, or like maybe a lighter shade of green, like there's that creative feedback that happens already. But when it's in like a recorded form, people just like, oh, I don't really like that. But how will they ever know that they suck and have to get better?
That's
like
true.
Us, like we don't know how we suck. We know we do, but we don't know specifically. So getting in stuff like that, and yeah, again, like getting you as a listener involved in just helping steer this like fucking weird ship.
Yeah, because I mean, in a general term, everything around you is designed at some point, except for natural occurring items
Like water.
I mean, you could say is designed by a higher power, but
The Almighty?
we're not gonna
Yahweh.
Pauly Shore. He designed it all.
There's a site, what's it called?
I think I know what you're talking about. It's called Cameo.
Yep. And you can get people you can pay them like $30 and they'll record you a message, and you can get Pauly Shore to do that.
I know, that's the one I looked at, and I was like, do I want to pay Pauly Shore $150 to send a message to Matt? Probably not. Maybe if I had it.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I did look for Dikembe Mutombo, but he's not on there. There is a bunch of celebrities. It's really weird. If you haven't seen it, go to, I think it's cameo.com. And it's not about the rapper Cameo. You don't just go to it and he says word up constantly.
Is he friends with Chameleonaire?
No.
Oh.
No,
They
Cameo.
should meet.
Cameo was the rapper who had like the red jockstrap on and in the really high top haircut. Big, huge.
Oh, from like the
Steve Harvey mustache.
early 90s?
Yeah.
Did he do like
So what's the word? Word up.
Word Up? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's Cameo.
The guy.
The human.
Yeah.
But the
And
site.
Pauly Shore lives inside him
And
like
just-
that little alien in Men in Black when
in
the guy
his-
feels his face peels back in the pierogi restaurant.
It's completely like that.
Yep.
So Cameo is a site you can go to, and they've got celebrities, sports people, reality show, like movies, TV, like everything, and you pay money, and then these people record a message for you. Like Samwise Gamgee's on there. What's his name? Rudy.
Goonie? Goonie Rudy.
Goonie Rooney. Goonie Rudy?
Goonie Rudy.
What is his name? Doesn't matter.
Sean Astin.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Oh, I gotta get that name out. It's so hard. He's on there,
Yeah.
and so you could, but it's weird.
Yeah, I heard about it. I listened to this podcast called The Flagrant Ones. It's about basketball. It's like the two guys that host Hollywood Handbook, which is like one of my favorite podcasts.
Right.
They also have one of the pro version on Stitcher Premium, and I listen to all that. Then I subscribe to their Patreon to listen to the Flagrant Ones, which is them and their buddy Carl Tart, who's fucking super funny, and he has a voice of an angel. They make bets with each other, and if they lose, they have to buy somebody a cameo. So they've actually had the Pauly Shore one. I think they've done like 3 cameos at this point. Fucking looks so good. But,
That's amazing.
An incredible waste of money. But the Pauly Shore one, he like ad-libbed, and he was mispronouncing words. Like one of the host name is Hayes, and he's like, yeah, talking to Highs.
Well, I mean,
And then later he said Hayes, and then he was like ad-libbing. He's like, yeah, we's in the Jew. He's still doing all that.
I mean,
Gold.
for $150, whatever. It's because it's like a 30-second, 1-minute promo.
Yeah.
That they have to do, and it's not bad. Like I looked at a bunch of the samples. Now this show is just a plug for Cameo, and some of them were recording it in their car on their phones. It's like, yeah, I guess it's fine. And they're reading. You can see that they're reading the message that's on there.
Yeah, you can tell that they're like straight up in traffic, in like a traffic jam, and just like, I'll just knock out like $800 worth of like, hey, what's up, Marcus, on your birthday, and all that, which is. It sounds dumb, but I would so gladly do that.
Yeah. They just got to get the right personalities on there.
Yeah, and nobody on there has that Flagrant Ones podcast. They had an NBA player do one. Yeah. He's on there.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like broke ass people. I never went on the site.
No, that's what I mean. There's athletes on there from like basketball, football, UFC, like everything.
Sean Kemp.
I didn't see them. I looked by highest price to lowest price, so you get. Mostly like movie and TV celebrities first. But there's some notable ones on there. Like, this has got to be a scam. This can't be real. And then you look at the videos like, oh, this is real.
Wait, did Sean Kemp hit women?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Maybe Gary Payton. We'll get the glove.
Yeah, the glove is fine. But the man who wore the glove to punch, not so fine. So what the hell were we saying?
We're talking about.
Oh yeah, everything's right. Okay, I got it. So the general consensus of things is that everything at some point has been designed or influenced by somebody.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, somebody had to think about it. Even that hilarious poster that your cool friends will send you, the one that's like, send this to a designer to make them upset, and it's the poster with the letters and all the kerning and typesetting all fucked up. It's like, yeah, somebody thought about that though.
Yeah, somebody spent way more time fucking it up than they would on just a normal print piece. So I look at that being like, yep, it's perfectly fucked up, and it must have taken a long time. And good for you.
Yeah.
And also don't send it to me.
Yeah. So everything from the door that you open to your house, the car you drive, the shoes you wear, everything has had some designer influence on it. So ideally we'd like to touch on everything as we can, like broad topics to really granular, weird stuff that is just interesting to us all. I'm just looking at Cameo now again. So they have Flavor Flav's on there and Tommy Tiny Lister from Friday.
Was Zeus?
Yeah.
And he was in No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Ernie Hudson's on there. Tito Ortiz.
Oh, you get Ernie.
Corey Feldman's on there.
You could get
his are weird.
Yeah, his are obviously. Oh, one of the Dukes of Hazzard's on there. The on the right there,
John
the blonde
Schneider.
guy. Yeah, he was in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he was trying to screw Cheryl.
Oh, fun.
God
Ice
bless
T's
him.
on there. Bam Margera's on there.
See, I'm really just interested in Ernie Hudson now, because I would pay any amount of money to send you something that says, "Marcus, I have seen shit that will turn you white."
Norm Macdonald's on there for a good old fashioned laugh.
A good old fashioned
Charlie Sheen.
cream fraiche.
And this is just an endless supply of ways to spend money.
Yeah, so go to Cameo and hey,
Use the affiliate code
Pauly Shore.
Short penis. For
same thing.
0% off.
But yeah, if
Gary Busey's on here for $325.
so if anybody wants to get Gary Busey to send us a personal message, we welcome it. And you must have more money than you know what to do with. So please, I guess Jimmy Kimmel, if he's listening, he likes doing shit like that.
Any of the Jimmys. Buffett.
Jimmy
Fallon,
Buffett.
Jimmy.
Carter.
Jimmy James.
Hey, he's Stephen Root. There you go. But yeah, so we'd also like to hear from you. If you go find us on Twitter and Instagram at Worst Design Show, and send us ideas for shit, because we want to do this in a way that's like kind of like punchy and fun and not 3 hours, and something that's like a little different every week. And we can't pretend that we have every answer. So yeah, if you want to talk about like fucked up client relationships, that's great. I have a few clients I had like bad parting with it. I would love to get on here to talk about it, because everybody has that like couple black spots in the portfolio. You're like, you kind of don't want to talk to them anymore, but I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And the relationship's already fucked, so you might as well like either continue to fuck it or fix it a bit.
Time should have healed that by now, or at least patched it up
think
with
so.
a Band-Aid. But
I had one that I stopped working with because they demanded that I steal a design from somewhere else.
oh,
And I said no. And they said, we don't want to work with you anymore. And then I got interviewed about all the work I did do for them. And then, which was a lot, including like naming the company and the branding and all the packaging and all that. And it was fun, and the website and every fucking thing that came out of there for like a year I made with the owners, with their input the whole way. And I was interviewed about it, answered it completely honestly. The guy sent it to the client to be like, hey, we're going to post this up for your company. And we interviewed the designer that did it. And they said, none of that's true. You can't put it up. And it was all 100% true. I showed it to my wife because she was involved too. I was like, is any of this a lie? And she said, no, actually, you were kind to them in a lot of it because they treated you kind of like shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, they stopped an interview from getting out where all they did was talk about the pictures that I drew and how I consulted them every step of the way.
That's amazing.
So that would be fun to get them on here, because I guarantee it'll end so terribly, but riveting shit.
I did that early in my career. It's sort of something similar where the client, it was like a paint by numbers where they're like, we really like this. Can we just have this? And early in the days, I said, yeah, okay. I can totally make that happen.
Yeah.
And then we made it and then developed it. And that's as far as I thought it would go. And then the client submitted it to one of those like Site a Day, like the best web design sites.
Oh, yeah.
And then turns out one of the judges on that site designed the site that they were copying, and they're like, you have to remove this immediately and change the design because you copied everything. It's like, yeah, I'm never going to do that again. That was a lesson learned. I mean, it didn't come back to me as they never found out who did it specifically, but the client came back and said, we need to change this. And it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have agreed to that in the beginning. So while you have had some bad clients, you've also had good successes where some of the work that you did was presented to a conference with a few thousand people.
Yeah.
And everybody was happy and cheering.
Yeah, and you worked on that one too.
I helped a little bit with the video.
Yeah, and that was...
Without knowing where it was going to be shown. I was like, oh, it was just to be shown maybe on their Facebook page or something for this small group. And then,
God willing, it'll be a full screen website header with the sound turned off.
Yeah, and little did I know, when I got the picture of it being displayed, it was in like a huge, like bigger than an Apple press conference.
It was like the Seattle Conference Center in front of like 5 or more 1,000 people.
Yeah,
all like hardcore dedicated to this group. Like this isn't a group that, like it was a group for hardcore SQL developers and engineers. Like you don't casually join that group because like, oh, it sounds so fucking cool. Like you have to be in that world. You have to like work for Microsoft. You have to whatever. So it was like a full room of people who loved this group. And I did a huge rebranding. There was the primary brand, 5 sub-brands, 28 sub-brands.
Yeah, it was nuts.
And did a whole bunch of stuff for it. Still to this day, easily the biggest file handover I've ever done for branding. Like after you turn it into, you split it into CMYK, you split it into Pantone amongst all the different formats, all the different iterations, orientations, word mark, icon together, all that kind of shit. And then you do it again for RGB. For every brand, it was just over 1,440 individual files. And those were just logo files for the brand and sub-brands.
So did you just post a link on WeTransfer? Like, here's your files.
Yeah. It was like, it was on Dropbox. Not that they had anything to do with any other story told recently. But yeah, and the client was like, what do I do with this? And I said, you read the brand manual and you don't touch any of these files. You just give them to the people who need files from you. And she's like, oh, thank God. I didn't want to touch any of them. Like, fuck, please don't touch any of them.
You just put them somewhere where people can download them to use appropriately.
Yeah.
According to the guidelines.
Yeah. So
you have stuff like that, though.
Yeah, too. that was a fun one. And then we did, Marcus and I and my wife, and Borat voice, we storyboarded this whole video, like unveiling the new brand and all that kind of stuff. And Marcus did it in After Effects.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
while I was simultaneously learning stuff,
learning After Effects.
Yeah.
Which that's how like half jobs.
Which
go.
Funny enough, like I mean, it's not like a requirement, but even today working with a client, I was in After Effects doing some video editing and adding text overlays to make it look like stop motion animation, kind of like rough cut. And no one else I work with knows how to do that, I don't think. So sometimes learning it on the fly, can go a long way.
And it's often the shit you have to do anyway.
Oh, like, yeah, absolutely.
3 months ago, they're like, hey, have you ever done anything Art Deco related? And like, nope. Like, you want to do a whole bunch of packaging that's just Art Deco? I'm like, yeah, fuck, sure. So you just immerse yourself in it, screw up a bunch of stuff until you get something kind of cool looking, and then you just move on.
Yeah. I don't want to hide the fact of how you recorded the audio for that video.
Oh, for the brand presentation the 1,440 files, the video that played in front of like 5,000 plus people.
Yeah, because weren't you going to hire somebody?
We did hire somebody. We wrote the script for it. We hired some guy named Webmeister, who's a very nice guy, and he does like voiceover stuff for radio. So we contacted him. He has like a good radio voice, and we did that, and it came back, and we thought he did a great job, exactly what we were hoping for. And then the client said, no, we like how Matt talks. And I said, wow, no one's ever said that before. And they're like, we want you to do it. So we paid the voiceover guy because he already did a great job. I looked up how to record audio in the house. This is before we had the podcast. Yeah, before we had the podcast, I had to borrow like one of the mics that we're using now that we eventually bought.
Yeah.
Borrow one from my wife's cousin, and then I had to build a little like sound ball inside of like a giant Rubbermaid container, and I had to like cut up like a mattress foam and line the sides with it, and then I had to put like a blanket over my head and the box, and talk into it, and it took like 2 hours to get it right because I had no concept of editing, so I just had to do it right the first time, or else it'd be all fucked up.
Right.
And when I came out of it, I was pouring sweat because it was like the winter, the heat was on. Yeah, I made like an igloo and I lined it with like heat blankets and lava. And yeah.
But the audio that came out of it was really well done. Like it sounded, there was no crackling, no background noise. It was great. Like for a $5 budget type of situation.
Yeah, I recorded it in a house with 3 children and a chihuahua and a cat, and there's no sounds in it.
Yeah.
But so that projects like that, like talking about, I've done a bunch of work for Barkerville Brewing Company since they started, and Russ, the owner, he's super gnarly guy. He's come and brought us beer at the old office before.
Yeah.
And
their beer's good.
And it'd be fun to have him. And he also has a background in game development. He started this company called like Backstage Games or something, and it got bought out like years ago, and he's like a professor at like UBC or something like that outside Vancouver. So it'd be awesome to get him in here because he's so knowledgeable about like game design and all that stuff. And then he started a brewery and went through the whole process with me, which most of the time was good, and sometimes it was a screaming match because we both wanted the right thing.
Yeah.
And but he's an awesome guy. He'd be a lot of fun to get in here.
Yeah, I know. Last season we had Sean O'Keefe on the show. He was one of our first guests, or was he? Was he the first?
He was the inaugural guest.
Yeah. It'd be fun to have him back.
Yeah,
because since that time, the work that he's done at Phillips is a local craft brewery in BC. It's the biggest one easily.
It's now a regional brewery. It's transcended craft. It's massive now.
But it's still considered craft because it's
craft beer. Yeah.
Yeah. But the work that the beer that they put out too is they've really diversified their offering.
Yeah.
And some of the artwork that's on the cans he doesn't stick to one style, and it's so refreshing to see. Like there was that one, the one it's like a grapefruit or it's some sort of sour recently.
The Oro.
Yeah, it was like the gold kind of pattern, and I asked him if he designed that one because I felt like, oh, that's not his style, but it was him. But he's that good of an artist that he can do so many different styles, and it's just so great. So it'd be good to have him on there again to chat about that.
Yeah, then also easily my favorite beer label of 2018 was Sean's Tiger Shark.
Oh, yeah.
Which just looks like a half tiger, half shark jumping out of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
It's just, and the beer's gnarly too. And yeah, we'll get him back here talking about more shit. Probably get the Dobells back in because Chris keeps asking to do a podcast with us anyway. So we're going to actually help him get set up with his own podcast. If you go back, I think it's like the third episode, something. We had Chris and Stu. I think we went through over 30 beer in that interview.
Yeah.
And it shows.
I think you could see through the audio.
Stu was so drunk he said 8 words. But we'll get them back. But also we're going to help them set up a podcast about kind of forgotten techniques and cool old stuff like sign painting, pinstriping, custom car work, all that stuff. They have this huge network all over the world of people that dig their shit, and so that'll be kind of fun. Our first what is it? Spin-off? Yeah, spin-off podcast.
A sequel?
I guess.
Oh no, wait! I see what you did there. Yeah. No, you were right.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of I lost the thought there.
And anything else that you want to hear let us know at Worst Design Show on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll like genuinely take things into consideration. It's not like send us your ideas. I'm good.
Yeah, like one of our thoughts of a format of the show, and this is like I legitimately wanted to figure out the logistics of this, was to have a big, huge Price is Right showdown wheel.
Oh yeah,
Kind of thing.
that. Yeah.
And then you just put a bunch of topics on there, and very specific. Like I wouldn't want to see like pencils. Well, you know what? Actually, that's really interesting. Pencils is going on there.
All right.
But you have a bunch of topics on there, and then you spin the wheel, and then in 2 weeks, that's what you're talking about. And so it kind of makes the decision for you.
Yeah.
And then you're forced to do a bit of research and find some cool shit.
Yeah, that'll be good. And then
so in that sense, sending an idea in is not going to be just shoveled aside.
no, it might go on the wheel and spin it and win it.
Yeah, and you could have like the interesting idea wheel, and then you can have the this is going to be a bad idea.
Yeah,
one.
but you got to do it anyway.
Yeah, why not?
It's like in Jackass, every time Bam did something, he's like, "This is gonna suck." He has the hardest voice to do. Have you seen his head now? It's like a pumpkin.
It's because he's taken after his dad.
It's because he's a raging alcoholic who
I thought
keeps
he got-
getting out of rehab.
Didn't he get? Oh no, he didn't. Because Andy Roy
Roy
was talking about how Bam kept trying to take him out.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good one. If anybody likes skateboarding, go check out the 9 Club podcast as well, and look at that Andy Roy episode with his shiny new chompers
And hearing about people putting koi fishes on their penises.
on their donguses in prison.
Was it for $10 or something like that?
It was in prison, so it's probably like cigarettes or the.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good one. That's a pretty fucked up
So
story.
Andy Roy's had an interesting life, and he's a pretty awesome skateboarder.
Yeah, if you've ever watched King of the Road, he's a guy without teeth yelling at everybody.
And now he's a little bit different.
And now he has so many teeth.
Yeah. Made from old toilets.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we're happy to be back. We're going to hopefully make some cool shit and keep making it for longer than 10 episodes at a time. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we'll make it and then we'll take a month off and regroup and then do another season or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like we said, this one's just a kick in the bucket.
Yeah.
Get it out the door, shake off the rusty cobwebs.
And also for me to re-understand everything I used to know about GarageBand and audio recording.
Exactly.
Which I gave myself a crash course the last 2 nights of just trying to remember how anything works. And the little lines that go up and down on a screen, which means our voices are being recorded.
That's good.
And I have the compressor and the noise gate off. No, it looks like almost like how we used to do it. Oh, I think the office cleaners might be here.
I think so too.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming back.
It's been great.
We're going to be back in 2 weeks with a proper episode. And our goal is to do one show every 2 weeks until we kind of get a solid format. We want to do a show every 2 weeks, and in between that, just kind of tweak it and discuss it and talk to people about what they think.
And if you're familiar with the other podcast, How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
The movie, they do a mini episode in between to talk about like stuff that fans have sent in and ideas and shit like that. I don't expect that we'll have a whole episode of fan submitted omissions and stuff like that, but at least it'll be like maybe an intro to the topic, and
yeah,
who knows? We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for listening, coming back, and if you still subscribe to our show, you're probably very surprised to see there's a fresh episode.
This is a mistake, right? Somebody took over the name.
Yeah, but yeah, so check us out again on Twitter, Instagram at The Worst Design Show. I just realized, the website is not up.
No, it's not.
So I got to put something back up.
Which is kind of a bummer because it was Squarespace, and so nothing would have been saved. But
No, it's all saved.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, just the domain it's not paid for.
Yeah, so it's all archived. I just have to log in, so it's all still there.
Great.
It's wonderful.
Because I don't want to get into. I mean, I could build a static site, but then
No,
it's
fuck
just
it. Like
managing that is a pain.
Yeah.
I'd rather not code anymore if I don't have to.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. And I tried to remember the thing I would say at the end of
Something. Don't forget, it's a job. No.
it was like at the end of the day, we get paid to make pictures, which isn't that bad. And if you think it is, then you're the worst.
Something like that.
Right.
That's the end.
Bye.